can also tell you, and this might sound crazy, but based on our investigations and stuff that we've seen, okay, there is definitely something that I think would rival what we know currently with physics, and a tech that potentially is out there that we don't have the ability to reproduce, because it would basically be like dropping a cell phone right off back during the time of maybe caveman. So like we just don't have the tech to develop it yet.
When you say that it operates outside our understanding of physics, what specifically are you saying? Like what happened?
To I guess break it down in simple terms is that I think that some of the tech that exists, that whatever these things have, these energy things have.
Energy things? What do you mean?
Well, they call them interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually...
Energy things. Energy things, boy. Women in fucking tech. Women in space. Women in propulsion. Space things. Big up her. She was incredible. I love her.
Operate through the time spaces that we currently have.
All right, so now to try to get people to move on from the Epstein files, the government is trying to distract us with conversations about aliens. You know, now all of a sudden people are all focused on interdimensional beings and UFOs, which a lot of people predicted was going to happen after the Epstein files fall out. And last week it was reported that some top officials had a meeting to discuss what to do about it. And apparently Rogan's podcast was brought up. And then just the other day, exactly a week later, we have some hot chick on there talking about aliens. So they're getting creative here. They definitely know Rogan's audience well. I mean,
amazing, isn't it though, right? We're going to cover up the Epstein thing by getting into fucking UFOs and having debates about fucking aerospace engineering and like, God almighty. And of course, Rogan is a willing participant. He's willing to run cover for fucking Trump. Even though he secretly wants to get to the bottom of the Epstein thing too, he loves Trump more. Because one of the things I've noticed too throughout the clips I've seen on... I haven't watched a JRE episode in a long time, but the clips I've seen on the Reddit, when he's criticizing the current administration or he's criticizing what's happening with the Epstein cover-up and shit, and he's, you know, talking the way he talks, he very rarely mentions Trump by name. He might mention the administration, he might mention the government, he might mention a news story, something that happened, someone said, but he doesn't necessarily mention Trump as someone to blame. So he's clearly running cover. He's clearly trying to not cast aspersions, whatever, or cast Trump in a bad light, or blame him, or point the finger and say you're to blame, which he obviously is. He's making sure to say the Republican Party, the current branch, but he very rarely calls out Trump by name, which is fucking crazy, because the Joe Rogan of old would look at himself and be fucking amazed by how he's turned out. He's now become literally a tool of the government. He is now a propagandist, essentially, isn't it? He's now become a tool of the government. He is now an arm of the fucking government now. He's now a branch of the fucking government. He's running cover for them. It's fucking wild.
Hot chicks and aliens, you can't beat that. So Rogan had on this Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna to talk about interdimensional beings and UFOs, which obviously wasn't compelling at all. She just sounded confused most of the time, but people weren't complaining. And luckily, Rogan's bullshit detector wasn't working very well either, even though there were a few times where it seemed like he was thinking, come on, what are we doing here? But she's hot, you know, that goes a long way. Like, most of the comments were just about that. People are like, as long as my psyops are sexy, I'm good. And hot women tell me UFO.
As long as my psyops are sexy, I'm good. It's fucking insane, but so true.
UFOs are real. This is my dream. So I guess this podcast wasn't a terrible idea. I mean, it sounds like there's a big market for this. I mean, she wasn't convincing at all, and still people loved it. You know, she's basically just like, I'm in the government, I've seen proof of UFOs and interdimensional beings, but I can't go into any detail or explain it at all. And people are saying this podcast broke the internet. It's hilarious. Of course, she also claims they're going to release some information and be completely transparent about it, but that sounds kind of familiar. You know, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, she's also in charge of this task force that's supposed to push for declassification of federal secrets. And a big thing they're working on is trying to get the Epstein files released, which of course we know how that's going, so I don't have much faith in her. And of course, conveniently, Joe forgot to bring up the Epstein files during this podcast. He didn't mention it once. It's crazy. And she did mention it once, but
Jesus, he didn't mention it once. Fucking hell, man. Where's the Rogan I knew and loved, man? Where's the Rogan I knew and loved? He didn't mention Epstein once during this conversation. Once.
But just to say that she's not using aliens to distract from it. And then she also said that Kash Patel has been extremely transparent. You know, they always use that word. So this podcast was just comical. You know, Joe had on a congresswoman who's in charge of a task force that's trying to release the Epstein files and didn't ask her about that once. And I'm sure Joe was told not to bring it up because if he did, this would have been a complete disaster. I mean, she was already barely keeping it together with the alien stuff. Joe was probably thinking, man, this girl's lucky she's hot. You know, I don't think he was buying any of this.
When you
Currently.
say interdimensional beings, that they know that these are interdimensional beings, how do they know that?
Based on testimony, would be based on witnesses that have come forward. But what I can tell
So
you
the
is
witnesses just were told that they were interdimensional?
that they've seen things. And what I can tell you without getting into classified conversations is that there have been incidences that I believe where very credible people have reported that there have been movement outside of time and space.
That's very vague.
This kind of reminds me of, do you remember the time when, like, do you remember there was a time where, like, I think this was before hot tub streaming. Do you remember you guys are stream chat? Let me know if you remember this. Do you remember back in the day, before hot tub streamers on Twitch and stuff, there was a period where a bunch of, like, really hot girls started to pretend that they were gamers. You guys remember that? They were pretending they were gamers. Some of them were running big accounts. Some of them were, like, pretending they were really good on Call of Duty, but it wasn't them playing. It was their boyfriends playing in the background and shit. Do you remember there was like a period where like all these really hot girls were pretending they were gamers to kind of get that gamer buck incel money and energy going on? It was like a bit of a thing. And then there'll be a moment where they'll pretend to talk like gamers. They'll pretend to talk like they were into tech and shit. They'll pretend to talk like they were like geeks and nerds. Like, and they'd have their big fat tits in front of you, all fucking bunched up on the camera. Like, pretending they're like, do you remember this feels like the same thing. This feels like the same thing, but she's doing it with space. all these hot girls are suddenly starting to become conspiracy theorists, you know? Because they know, like, dudes love that shit. It's like, shut up. Outside of time and space, what? Is that Dua Lipa album title? You fucking speng.
Yeah. So, look.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Look. Have I seen a portal open? No. Have I seen a spaceship? Personally, no. Have I seen evidence of this? Yes. Have I seen photo documentation of aircraft that I believe were not made by mankind? Yes.
If you're keeping secrets, no offense, right? If you're trying to keep a secret, the worst person you can tell is this girl. She looks like a fucking yapper. I know yappers because I'm a yapper myself. Yappers recognize other yappers. If you want to keep a secret, especially a state secret, you wouldn't tell this fucking girl because she's going to tell somebody. So the fact that she knows anything is already kind of ringing an alarm bell. You know, like, what the fuck? Why would anybody tell you anything? Come on.
Is there historical significance to this? Yes. Is there multiple events that go back to, I would argue, maybe even before the time of Christ that have documented this in text? Yes. So do I believe that the government has access to certain technology? Yes, to an extent. And I believe that certain contractors potentially have back engineered this tech. But look, I think a lot of people say, well, this is a distraction from everything else happening in the country right now. And all I'm simply trying to say is it's not a distraction. The people that are kind of helping to divulge all this information, you have an intelligence community, you know, Tulsi Gabbard, Radcliffe, Kash Patel. They have been truly, in regards to our other investigations, extremely transparent and wanting to get this information out. But it doesn't mean that within these our other investigations,
extremely transparent
and wanting to get this information out. But it doesn't mean that within these intelligence communities there isn't pushback. And so part of the reason why the task force was formed, pertaining to things like UAP, pertaining to things like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, pertaining to things like the JFK, MLK, and RFK investigations, is because even though we don't hold declassification authority, what we're trying to do is push these agencies and be, if you will, the pit bull and the attack dog on trying to get this information released. And to a lot of these agencies' credits, they've been extremely transparent. And we have
Yeah, so as long as she says she's being transparent, I trust her. I mean, she had like the same script as Kash Patel on here. She just kept saying, trust me, take my word for it. We're being transparent. Even though she also claims Donald Trump not releasing the Epstein files was a 4D chess move. And like with Kash Patel, she also wrote a children's book about Trump. I mean, these people are so funny.
Jesus Christ.
And then she wore a MAGA swimsuit at one point.
Big up Iron Cincinnati, man.
When Rogan traded flashlights ads for Elon/Teslas, it was over. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji. Oh, and the CIA guy, rolling on the floor laughing emoji. And you write she there to look pretty and lie. Believe her, romantic face emoji.
CIA guy. That's all he was fucking doing. You know what I mean? Like, fucking hell. By the way, big up Iron Cincinnati, man. Big up Iron Cincinnati. Big up Iron Cincinnati, man. Big up Iron Cincinnati, man. By the way, what is it with like the Republican Party specifically and these like hot dark haired girls, or just in general? Why did they get bought? Why did they get like swayed by like? What is this tool? Like, what is this? Why doesn't it happen on the Democrat side? Why don't Democrats have like hot girls that they kind of push out there to run propaganda? Why is it only the Republicans need to figure out this hack? It's a good hack. It works all the time for them. It works all the time. They get some really loud, screechy, opinionated, incredibly dumb hot girl to front their stuff. And everyone kind of just listens to it, and doesn't really pay no mind. Democrats need that too. They need some hot chicks to come out and just start saying shit. Yeah, but there's only one, AOC. There's not any other. Do you know what I mean? I can't think of any other Democrat person that's like hot that says stuff. They're all like either bold or stuff or like fat. No, just push out more hot chicks to push out your message, and maybe you can kind of battle a bit easier, I don't know.
And went viral for that. That's like her claim to fame. And she used to be a swimsuit model and also was a cocktail waitress at a strip club. So she's basically a glorified e-girl now. And
what a fucking CV. And now she's just sat in front of Rogan? And you want to tell me the game's not rigged? Now she's sitting in front of Rogan and she's a member of the Trump administration. And you want to tell me the game isn't rigged? You want to tell me that lying isn't good or beneficial? Come on, man. Congrats to her, but fucking hell. Look at that CV. Look at that fucking CV. She has no business being in front of Trump. Luna served as an airfield management specialist in the U.S. Air Force from 2009 to 2014. First as Whitman Air Base in Missouri and then in Florida, which probably means she was all there partying. Hot chicks, and briefly worked as a cocktail waitress at the Red Rose Gentlemen's Club, a strip club in Fort Walton Beach in Florida. She later appeared as a hometown hottie. For Fort Walton Beach in Maxim. You remember Maxim, right? That fucking great men's magazine, by the way. I used to love reading Maxim. Big up Maxim. Big up. You know what? I had a subscription to Maxim. And the other one. What was the other one called? There was another one called. Was it Top something? I don't know. But I had a subscription to Maxim. That's how much of a fucking goon I was back in the day. I had a subscription to fucking Maxim. Luna gained a following as an Instagram influencer. So yeah, big up Luna.
UFO expert who's going to release evidence of interdimensional beings. I mean, it's so ridiculous, but honestly, this could actually be a really lucrative grift for her. And it's funny, I think Rogan's good friend Eric Weinstein was really jealous that Rogan would rather talk to her about aliens than him, because he put out a tweet that called this podcast mental sludge and said it was super embarrassing.
Yeah, no, you're correct. Assume even that beings were usual additional intended dimensions to traverse space and time, you still wouldn't talk like this. It's just mental sludge. I can riff a bunch of equally vapid vibe terms. Digital seraphim, energetic consciousness, distributed cognition, disembodied guardians, plasmic will, resonance life forms, vibrational travelers, retrocausal projectors, transtemporal sentinels, that feels like a slur, autonomous vacuum fauna. This is just super embarrassing. This is the level of us as a country now. Rogan, mate. Rogan. Embarrassing. Even Eric Weinstein, who loves to fucking suck Rogan off, can't help it.
And he said, I can rip a bunch of equally vapid vibe terms like digital seraphim, vibration travelers, plasmic will, and disembodied guardians. So he is better at coming up with terms, but I can't blame Joe here. I mean, obviously he'd rather talk to a swimsuit model over Eric Weinstein or some other strange UFO guy. So also Ian Carroll, who Rogan had on earlier this year, ratioed Anna's post where she's promoting this podcast and said, so I'm to understand you talked for hours and didn't discuss the Epstein files in your little task force dedicated to publishing them. You know, because that is crazy. Like, she's always tweeting about Epstein and she's in that task force, but then she's on the biggest podcast in the world and doesn't even talk about it. And Rogan doesn't talk about it either. I mean, it's so funny. Rogan used to bring up Epstein like every other podcast, but now since that whole fiasco happened, he barely talks about it. Like, the only time he really went into it for more than 30 seconds was with that guy from the CIA, which was still kind of bullshit. You know, they didn't really have much to say about it. And I saw Rogan just had on Sam Tripoli, who's a big conspiracy theory guy. You know, he loves talking about Epstein. So I thought for sure he would go into it quite a bit, but they only discussed it for like a minute or two. And of course, they only talked about Pam Bondi being incompetent. You know, they didn't really talk about the cover-up or anything. So it just seems really strange. And now with this podcast, he just made it so obvious that he's trying to help distract from the Epstein files. Like another former Rogan.
I don't think Rogan, I wouldn't go that far. I don't think Rogan's trying to distract. No, I guess by his actions, he's doing what he's saying, but I don't think he's intending to do so. I don't think Rogan's intention is to have these people on or for him to not mention Epstein as a way for him to distract from the Epstein cover-up or the Epstein list cover-up, whatever it may be. I think what Rogan's doing is because he likes Trump. He likes the Republican administration. He likes those people. He likes what they've done to the country. He likes what they represent. He hates the left. I think he's more so trying to not put any smut on their name, bring any negative attention to them by avoiding something that people are hitting him over the head with. That's what he's doing. But I don't think he's doing it trying to cover up Epstein or cover up the list. He just doesn't want the Republican Party to be seen in a bad light. So he doesn't want to bring light to things that they're doing. It's like how he is all the time. He was always listing off the things that the Dems are doing wrong. He's got a long list to list on. But when it comes to Trump and Republicans, he doesn't really have much to say. You know? He's kind of very diplomatic, vague, understanding, open-minded about their mistakes. He doesn't give he doesn't give the Republicans the grace he gives he doesn't give the Democrats the grace he gives the Republicans, because he's obviously, you know, more of a Republican now than he was a Democrat or liberal, whatever it may be. But I just wish this wasn't the case. But we have to also accept, by the way, myself included, Rogan's an old man now. Rogan's also an incredibly rich old man now. And one thing we know about people, the older they get, especially the richer they get, the more unlikely they are to change their mind, and the more likely they are to become more conservative. The more money you get, the older you get, the more you want to conserve that money, the more you want to keep that money, and the more you're going to align with the right wing or the Republican Party, whatever they are, conservatives of your fucking country. So it's no surprise to see him where he's at. It's just sad to see what he's doing where he's at. I would rather he just be like about low taxes and be about conserving his money and all this sort of stuff, right? But the fact that he's gone like full MAGA, full like alt-right is a disappointing side of things. I'm not mad that he wants to keep his money, doesn't want to give it away, and he's kind of he's basically the Scrooge McDuck, way more than Dana White in that respect. You get the feeling Rogan's biggest fear is ever losing any bits of his money. He really cares about keeping every single penny, which I understand because he works hard for it. Cool. But it's just sad that he's been like alt-righted as well, MAGA, you know? He really believes that shit. That's why he doesn't want to cast any bad aspersions on these guys whatsoever. So he just shuts the fuck up about Epstein, which is really sad.
Guest Tom Bilyeu, he criticized this podcast too. He said, "Am I crazy to assume that this is internally facing propaganda rather than actual interdimensional beings?" So it's like hard to ignore at this point. I mean, this girl wasn't convincing at all. Like whenever Rogan questioned her, she had no idea what to say. So she would just resort to saying, "I can't talk about that. I can't go into detail." I mean, it's like she wasn't even trying to make a compelling argument. I mean, I believe there's probably aliens out there or something like that. But
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. You have to rate the Trump administration, innit? Hold on, let me put this up. Let me get this. Is it up? Yeah, it's up already. You have to rate the Trump administration. This is the person they sent to Rogan to talk about aliens during the fucking Trump Epstein cover-up. That's a genius move, man. Look at her face, bro. That's a genius level distraction, isn't it? This is the girl they sent to Rogan to talk about aliens. Oh, that's such a good move, man. Such a good move. Focus on her. Focus on her beautiful face. Focus on her objectively attractive face. Don't worry about all the kiddie diddling. Don't worry about all the child trafficking. Don't worry about that. Just focus on her. Aliens. Remember that? Cool. Weird, right? Interdimensional. Aerospace. Oh, fucking brilliant move.
But after hearing this, it made me believe in it less. And if this is the person in charge of exposing what the government knows about it, based on this podcast, I don't think we'll see anything very significant. And I'm sure Rogan knows that. And I'm sure she knows that too. I mean, they're both basically just acting at this point.
Yeah. So what I want to bring it back to evidence. You said that you've seen evidence. Like, what kind of evidence have you seen?
I have seen photos. I have seen...
What have you seen photos?
I want to bring us back to evidence and proof. She's like,
So I was in a skiff, and I can't discuss all that was in a skiff, but what I can tell you is based on the photos that I've seen, I'm very confident that there's things out there that have not been created by mankind.
It seems crazy that people have access to information that shows that there's something outside of us that is more intelligent, at least more capable than we are, and they hide it from everybody else.
What I can tell you is that when you have thousands upon thousands of people around the planet throughout time that have reported something,
right?
To say that those people are crazy, to say that, you know, the whole concept of even just asking the question that you might not necessarily be psychologically sound, that in itself, you know, that's a disinformation campaign to get people to shut up about it. And that's a problem. We know that the U.S. government has not exactly been clean, and a lot of what they've done with the American people, specifically to the topic of UFOs.
Which makes you think that it's probably because there's something there.
Representative Gates has gone on record. He actually did as soon as he left office that we've seen stuff that I don't believe was created by mankind.
So you can't tell us what you saw, but
I'm gonna let you infer.
See, this is the problem that I have with all this stuff.
I should be able to tell you without losing my clearance.
Well, not just that. That people that have that information should give that information to the general public.
Correct.
And stop treating us like you're smarter than us and that you can handle it and we can't. That's silly.
Which is why we have to declassify.
Yeah, so I don't have much faith in her, but if the Epstein stuff really heats up again, they might have to release something to distract from that. I mean, it probably won't be much. You know, it'll probably just be some breadcrumbs to keep the peasants happy for a week or two. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we'll get some actual transparency.
We won't get anything. We won't get any of that shit soon. We won't get any of that. I actually want to hear about that Pam Bondi thing. Let me check out Rogan quickly. Big up Two to Try, by the way. Big up Two to Try. Brilliant fucking video. Check him out. Great channel. You see his channel there. Two to Try. Joe Rogan tried to. You get it. Let me quickly go on Rogan.